Right, Mini, back on took Mini. So now I'm going to look at the ABS and see what the lights are on the warning lights. I'll just talk you through some of the theory and then show you a bit of it and what I'm trying to do. I don't expect to fix it yet, but I'm hoping to eliminate what I think the problem might be to then go to the next stage. I'll record all of it anyway, but I'll show you what I'm doing. So with the ABS ECU being knackered, there are three parts to the ABS system, which obviously one of them is the ECU. I'll show you what I'm doing with them. My theory now is to try to swap out the ECU and just see if I get that same error code. And then if I do, I might have to recode it, but I'll show you what I'm doing next. So in here you might see, obviously bear in mind that I've got lots of parts off. I'm keeping the battery still on the trickle charger to make sure that with the in and out, so I don't destroy the battery. In here, your ABS system works in this way. You've got your pipes coming over from the master cylinder over that side. The hydraulic pressure gets pushed into here. That's the actual hydraulic system that pushes out to your brakes. So I think that's your feeding in from the master cylinder. And then these four will go to your four different corners of your ABS or your braking system. And then the pump is on the end there. So your hydraulic system in the middle, pump's on the end, and this bit is your ECU. Now, I suspect that there is a problem in here. These do go quite often. They can be taken apart, but they're sealed. They can be taken apart and resoldered. I'm not capable of doing that one, and I don't want to send it away to do it because it's a lot of money. I've got a friend who's an electrical engineer, but I think it's a big job for him to ask him to do it. So I've gone for a swap out unit. The unit I've got instead is here. Now to take the ECU off, it is quite straightforward, although that hole is not easy to get into with a socket set, so I had to use a little special, I think it was my Halford special from donkeys ago. I've taken those little screws out already, or bolt screws. Taken them out already, you can see the three locations here. Not convinced that this is a great idea, bearing in mind how well has it been taken apart at the breakers. If I slice through that part, well, you can see where that's come from. And then it's just a case of pulling it out carefully, because you have got those two prongs there, which obviously take power, or send the power from the ECU through the hydraulic and onto the pump the other side. Something else to note at this point, this is where I think I've got a bit of a problem, because I think it's this code here at the bottom, the 6765 code, which is the important bit for your ECU. Mine doesn't match that one. I'll show you when I take it off. Mine does not match that, which is where I think I might end up getting an error. But I'm hoping I can code that in. The code that I've got on my ECU is just not available. We look on eBay or wherever else, and the code I've got just isn't possible to get a used one. So I'm hoping what I'm going to do next, rather than dismantle the three parts here and take the screws out and potentially break something, all I'm going to try and do here is take this, well, I'll try and do it now. It might be a two-handed job. Take the plug off, plug it back in again. Or maybe I should turn the ignition off. Unplug one ECU, plug in the other ECU, and see if I get the same code or if I get another one. What I'd expect to see is that there'd be an error communicating with the ECU rather than the internal error. But let's see if we can get this off. It might be a two-handed job. I'm not sure how much. Oh no, there we go. So that is off. Is it going to be flexible enough to get it up to this one? Right, I will need to take this with two hands, I think. One more look. No, I'll do that two-handed and come back to you. And there we go. Total fucking waste of money, because one thing I didn't consider is that, are they actually even going to be the same size? that's the bottom against the bottom. And if you look at the size of the plug, whoa, keep your finger out of the way. Yeah, look at the size of that plug. That module. Come on. Right. I definitely need to have more hands. Right, there we go. So that's the size of that plug compared to the size of that. You made it out. But the plug on that one is much different in size. So, total waste of money buying that one. Hopefully I can sell it on again to somebody else, but I need a completely different one. So yeah, 750 256. How the hell am I going to find that one? Right, best of luck. Right, while we're on the Mini's ABS, so I've talked through a bit about what I've done so far, but I'm just going to show you hopefully a little tip that will help when it comes to taking out the ABS ECU. So when it comes to just the ECU part, what we're trying to replace is just this section here. I think I've mentioned it several times. It's that bit down there. On this particular model, there are just 2 bolts. I'm not sure whether there's going to be a huge benefit in taking bits out this side. I think you probably will be better. It's going to be helpful to get the battery tray out to get the bit of space here. But what I will show you is that there's a switch down there that you can't quite see. You can just about make out there it is. That's the plug for the inertia switch. I took the little 10mm out to give me a bit of space, but it didn't really make a lot of difference. And then the switch itself is here. Again, comments, please tell me what that actually does. I think it might be if there's a crash, you can reset it. There are just 2 screws. One that side has stayed in the unit. The other one is in the box. They're just little Phillips ones. If you take that out, it actually gives you access to get to that bottom screw. Now that bottom screw is a pain in the butt. I tried a different ratchet, but I've ended up going onto that little mini torque wrench again, just to give you enough room. If you can just see it there, just enough room. You only get a couple of clicks at a time to try and bring this out, but you can see where the inertia switch was on the side there, and it just gives you that bit of space to get it out. So hopefully that'll help you out, get the ECU out. Right, and then once you've got the 2 bolts out, they are T25 by the way, and I've taken the bolts out and loosened them. Down there you can see the other one possibly down there. Actually I'm going to put that back in a bit so it doesn't fall out and disappear into the world of the unknown. I moved this plug through, I got it through that gap just to plug in the other unit. So hopefully now it should just be a case of, you can wobble that out, look. And just take that unit straight out. Oh, crap-a-doodle-doo. This car is trying to offend. Spot the difference, guys. That ain't right, is it? That is really, really not right. So, it's off. Right, pause that for a sec. Right. So there you go then. Even the exact same shape physically, that will fit on there, but it hasn't got these. Now I'm not totally sure which bit does what bit, but you can see there, look, there's this it's just different. The bottom bit hasn't got those 4, I assume they're sort of some sort of valves or something to do with it. So if the units aren't the same, I don't want to put that on there. The odds are that the pins might be the same but have some differences, and you've got a complete mash of stuff. So on we go. We will hunt to see if we can find the actual unit, and if not, it looks like this one might have to get rebuilt, which is going to be a bit expensive. Right, to get the cover off the back of this ECU, it's just simple. I mean, you just give it a bit of a wiggle, and then off it comes. That's actually not true at all. So whoever it was who is telling me, or not telling me, I watch videos, just a sharp knife around the edges gets that off. Tried that. You can see the array of tools I've got here. A sharp knife, a Dremel type, cheap version of a Dremel, a little bit of wiggle room with a screwdriver, even the little chisel, didn't work. So we end up going out with a very thin blade on an angle grinder to cut through the sides and take that off. That is not easy. Just need to remember which way round the cover goes back on again. It has cut right through. However, there is sufficient, I believe, round there. You'd get a really nice cover of sealant around it to stick that back on again and make it watertight. It needs to be watertight where it's going to be. So now I've got to go and beg and plead with my friend who's an engineer. When I say beg and plead, it's usually beer tokens or gin tokens, to see if we can figure out what's actually wrong on here and get a fix. More to come. Right, so the ABS on the Mini, I've attempted to swap out the unit for a different unit. I've attempted to do the soldering on the EC unit. Neither of those has worked as yet. My mate, who's the electrical engineer, has had I don't know how he's done this yet. He messaged me on WhatsApp trying to explain it. I couldn't keep up. I'm sure when he talks me through it face to face, it'll make more sense. But there's a way to jump between the different part numbers for the different parts of the ABS to then you come back to a serial number. And he's told me, he said, just buy this unit off eBay. That's the one. It's only 30 quid as well. So I've ordered it. I'll show you the part numbers I'm talking about, and then I'll talk you through as I'm doing the coding. Power of positivity. What we're going to say is, I'm going to plug it in, clear the fault codes, and we're away. It won't need to be coded. It won't, and then we're away. Right, so to talk you through the numbers that we've got on these units, down there is a barcode. And that contains, as you can get down there, I was looking for that 6760269. I was looking for that one in particular. That's the part number just for the ECU piece. And then on the pump, on the back here, there's another part number. I can't quite make it out on there. But there's one I've taken off. So there, look. 6760268. That's a different part number. The ECU that came off, this is the one that I took off, that also had the cover off. We soldered those pins because they're only a push fit. So the suspicion was that these pins here, put a little double solder on them and it'll make it better, but it didn't make a difference. We've still got the internal fault. But what we've subsequently found is I haven't got the cover for that unit, but that ECU part number is not the same as the one I've just put in the car. This one off eBay, when you run it all through, it's this serial number here. So the 10.0206.0081.4 is the same number. You can see there, look, that is the exact same part number or serial number. There you go, as in this car. So the suspicion is that that ECU will work. Now, with BMW being a pain in the butt, it may well be that it works, but it still needs to be configured to the car from the can. So the best scenario here is that I clear the fault codes and we get absolutely no ABS faults at all. The worst case is that we've got an internal fault still, which means that that ECU is probably as knackered as the one I've taken off. The middle ground, which is probably likely, is that I'll get a fault, but it'll be something along the lines of communication and it won't go. So I'll do the first part of the scan, get to the codes, and I'll let you know. I've just turned the ignition on actually, and those have gone. I've not even yet got to the point of running the codes. I have got a flashing tyre pressure sensor, so maybe there is a low tyre maybe, but I'll walk you through this. It's a bit dull, watching me click the buttons. But I do like this. I've had iCar Soft before. I had the Jaguar Land Rover specific one, but the iCar Soft Pro does seem to give more of that functionality. So you're just literally scanning through it, because the ignition is on. It will go and scan the car for you itself, and you say, "Yeah, we're on F1," and so that is the right one for this car. Although I didn't look at the VIN, there's not much point in doing that. While we're here as well, I've also found the seat mechanism on the driver's seat is a bit rough. There are also 2 cables on here, so I may create another video yet of sorting the seats out, but there's a slim chance that it's just too much of a pain in the arse. It might be cheaper and easier to get some new seats. I do want to replace these ones if I can, or not replace, repair them if I can, but I'll let you know. Right, there we go, it's loaded. Auto scan, ABS, go on. Fault, damn you. Right, it's ABS, there's a fault. But what is that fault? SE19. CAN data error. Not currently present though. CAN connection to instrument cluster. Not currently present. Run flat indicator. Not currently present. DSC button. Not currently present. So, can we clear them all, erase them all? F1. Oh, don't know what bong means. What's that one as well then? No ABS message 1. Right, so there could be. Let's clear that as well. Back. Power supply to the stability restraint system. Don't know what that is either. Let's clear that. Right, so all the codes have been cleared. Just check if we. So unplug that for a time. Interesting. So you can see the silence is deafening because I'm thinking. I'm gonna go for a startup. So the first bit of good news is the only lights that are flashing are tyres and bonnet. So let's just have a quick nosy. Aha. That one looks a bit on the low side, doesn't it? I'll put some air in it, come back.